Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. This is part 2 of this gorgeous little kit, this little ICM 1/35th scale World War I Model T ambulance. If you go back through my history, you'll see I've done a review of this kit, and there's also a part 1 which takes you up to where I am now. In fact, it actually takes you up to where I was yesterday, and in between this, in between then and now, I've been working on a few other bits and pieces. So here we are. If you like what you see, when you go back, please subscribe and give me a like, and tell your friends. Interested to hear any comments from you, any positive or negative comments, and yeah, I'm all ears. So here we go. Let's have a look at where we are now. So when I left you last time, we'd done this woodwork, if you remember. So let's put this light on for you. I had to turn this off because of the glare from the box. So yeah, if you remember, we'd done this woodwork on the roof with the overemphasized scratchy bits, but hey, it doesn't matter. And then this looks much better. The floor, the wooden floor in the back of the ambulance section, and the sort of bulkhead there behind the driver. This is the driver's area. This is his feet. This is where the pedals go. So yeah. It's all looking pretty good. I've done the chassis. Now, one of the things that will get military modelers, I know they like to build their kits and paint them at the end. This Model T was basically an ambulance body put onto a Model T chassis, from what I can gather. If I'm wrong, correct me, I'm no expert. I've just had a look on Google for some images and stuff and realised that the actual chassis and all the suspension work was black, whereas the bodywork was this grey colour. I've used Tamiya XF25, it's like a blue grey. I've seen a lot of restored vehicles look a lot more blue than this. I quite like this colour, so I may give it, I've got some blue filter for German vehicles. I may give it a blue filter afterwards. That'll give it a little bit of a tinge. So yeah, yeah, it's very nice kit, very beautifully moulded. Oh, the exhaust there is done with my mix of brown and black and red game colour watercolour, and then I've put some MIG pigments over the top of it, some rust coloured pigments. So yeah, you can see that there. So yeah, it's coming along nicely. The engine, I've done the engine, added some spark plugs, which are now going to get a wash around the bottom to tone them down a bit. Painted the electric manifold. I'm going to put some wires on. I don't really know why I've bothered, because I'm probably going to glue the bonnet on anyway. But yeah, anyway, we'll see. So I'm at the point now where I've started looking at the interior, and here we've got yes, they are the Mark IV tracks you can see in the background there. And this here is to retain my sanity. You can see here, this is the bench seat that goes in. I've marked an X there, and I'm just going to show you. Obviously now this seat is very flat and featureless. I want to add some effect to it, so I want to show you what I do, and that's I just basically I'll scrape this away now with a curved knife, just to put some ridges in it. Just to add some shape really. And if you notice, I put a mark there where the driver would be sat, so because obviously where the driver sits, the seat will be more baggy than in the rest of it, unless he's constantly got passengers. But generally, when you look even at cars today, if one of the seats is going to be saggy, it'll be the driver's seat. And especially older leather seats, where they're softer and spongier, and the leather would kind of stretch, and also it would go darker in that area. I'll show you how I do that later as well. So I've just sort of ruffled up the surface there, and I'll just do a little bit here just to add something to it. And then what I do, I take my Tamiya extra thin and I literally paste it on. So that can really work at the surface now, and then I can using the Tamiya extra thin, I can mess around with the finish, and then if you want to, you can sort of add some, careful of the bits of plastic that's still stuck to your fingers. Mind you, you won't be doing this as rushed as I am, because you probably won't be doing it on video. But there we go. And then once you get the shape you want, get rid of any brush marks just by adding more glue. And there you go. You can now see that that seat has got a lot more texture to it. And then once that's painted, highlighted and weathered, it will look much better. And you can see here, let me get the, I'm trying to focus again today. You can see there where, like this area here where the driver would be, it's more accentuated. Okay, so that's that one. See you back in a minute. Right then, here we are back again. Just a few seconds for you, and I think about 3 or 4 days for me. We are now. Remember, I got all the wood done. I did the seat. If you remember, that was the last bit we looked at, and that's all dried now. It would do in 3 or 4 days, wouldn't it? I've got the engine in. Engine's now all glued in and everything, and lovely. So that's all nice. Exhaust rusted up. I can't remember if I'd done that in the last section or not. But yeah, it's all coming on. It's such a beautiful little kit. It's also I don't know, so fine and fidgety. It's kind of lovely because it's all so delicate. It's very, very nice. So I've painted the inside now. I painted the bulkhead for the rear end, and then this will just glue together like so. So there's how that's going to look. That needs some work because it's just sort of so plain and basic, it needs something doing, which is what I'm going to do now. Roof's all done. That's about it really. I did have to do some more work. I forgot to do the wood grain underneath. I forgot to do the planking underneath, so that's all done now. And also, if you are building this kit, you have to remember to do this under here, paint it, wood grain it, whatever, because when you actually put it on the chassis, as you can see there, it's not correctly fitted, but roughly you can actually see in there. So yeah, you need to make sure that the edge of the floor and also that little support beam area in there is done. And that is, I've had a look online, and that is wood there. So what we're going to do now, I need to knock all this back a bit before I start fitting the window and stuff. So oh, why is this wheel on here, you're asking? When you actually look at the rest of the kit, you'll see that, you know, how good the rest of the kit is. And then when you come to looking at these spare wheels, they go together, that one goes on top. But if you look, the actual straps that go over the top that hold the wheel down are moulded as a solid lump rather than as like a separate. I would have thought they'd given you like a separate plastic piece to go over the top. So that definitely needs some work, because on such a beautiful little model with all these delicate little spindles and everything, I mean, that plastic there that's depicting a leather strap is thicker than the bloody chassis rails. So, you know, that needs sorting. So I'll show you how I do that. Yeah, so I need to knock all this back a bit. In fact, I think what I'll do is put the window in first before I start putting washes on it, and then the wash will go around the window and make that look good. So I'll just get on with that and I'll be back in a sec. Right, so that window's glued in now. Something I always do, you might want to take this as a tip or not, I don't know, but something I always do before I put glazing into whatever it is I'm doing, aircraft, whatever, I paint around the edge, or I go around the edge with a magic marker, a fine magic marker. And if you look at that, rather than having that sort of silvery, chromy like glow coming from the edge of the plastic as you look across it, you see black, which I think looks a lot better. And it works really, really well. If you're doing like the front of a Heinkel 111, all that canopy glazing where you might have like multi-parts, it saves you getting that horrible chrome-like joint. If you just put some black magic marker on it, the glue will penetrate it. I mean, I've placed that in there and then just dabbed the top left and bottom right corners with some Tamiya extra thin, and now that's in there. And you know, yes, for this period of vehicle, having a window sat in a black rubber surround is probably incorrect, but you know, it just looks so much better. It looks kind of like it was meant to be there, in my opinion. So there's another little tip for people. If you want to take it or not, it's up to you. So now I need to think about how I'm going to sort of knock all this back a bit. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to try, as you can see, all this is here untouched. So this is, I'm trying this and you're going to see it live. I've got a filter here, which is tan for tritonal camo for German. So I've given it a good shake. I'm going to dip my brush in, get as much of it off the brush as I can, and then just, I'm off camera again. Right, so let's get the pot over here. So what I'm doing is dipping the brush in, taking most of it off, and then just dry the brush off on there. And then I'll start at the front bottom, so I'll start at the front top. And then I'm just going to brush this on, like so. And what this will do is just tone back the white and kind of take the edge off it. As you can see there. Now you can see that I've actually got some brush marks in it now. I'm just going to try, maybe if I go wetter. Yeah, if I go wetter it loses the brush marks. So that's what I'll do, I'll go wetter. Some like it wet, so they say. Or is it some like it hot, the saying. So there we go, what I've done there is just knocked it back and taken away the white, you know, the whiteness of the white, if you like. I could still have a wash. I mean, I could maybe try just give this a go. No, it's not dark enough. I could use a wash to get in those panels, but I mean, I think the thing is that the shading's gonna deal with that. So let's just where's this bulkhead? Let's do the bulkhead. Again, I'm going to keep it wetter than I normally would. Off the camera again. Come on, Nige. And you can see that what's happened there. This is quite old. This filter here is probably 8-9 years old. What happens as it gets older, it tends to separate more readily. So just give it a shake. And you'll see the difference now when I pull this brush out. I mean, you'll see the, watch this. There you go. Look at the difference there. But I'm not worried. If you look, it's a bit too much, but I'm not worried because I'll show you something now. What I can do is dry the brush off and I can remove it. You see what I mean? You can just remove it. And then dry the brush off again. And now what I'm going to do, vertical lines. And I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, but that is basically just giving it a gentle, just broken it down and giving it a bit of a sort of dirty look. And it's today is October the 31st and it's about 6 PM and I'm waiting for my doorbell to go with kids wanting sweets, and I'm just gonna ignore it. Yeah, once again you see that's settled already. Already that's settled out. So clean the brush off. And there we go. So there we have it. That's the whole interior of the rear done. So when that goes together now, we should be able to see that it looks a lot more realistic. Rather than just having that stark white, we've now got some tone to it, and that'll definitely dry matte as well. So that's that one, and that was Sin Industries. I'm not sure if this is available anymore. It was powered by Meg. You just get the AK stuff. It's the same. It's the same stuff. Or make your own. You know, humble enamel thinners. Humble enamel paint, odorless thinners. You can make your own. It's just dirty thinners, really. But definitely use odorless thinners, because if you use other thinners, it may well attack the plastic, especially like tracks and stuff or any complex assemblies. They'll fall apart. The turpentine in the stronger thinners will basically dissolve the glue. Dissolve the plastic. I've just realised I'd forgotten to do these bits. Now, I'm not worried too much about these windows, because you're never going to see inside of them anyway, unless you rip the kit apart. And if you rip the kit apart, I won't be very happy with you. So there we go. That's the next little segment. Now let's get all this together and perhaps do some more weathering on it. Okay, I said the next stage was going to be gluing all this together, but I decided that it would be good to add a bit of interest to the inside. So I've wood grained the. Let's get some better light here. I've wood grained the bench seats, and there's the folded up one there. So yeah, it's nothing amazing, because I've realised that actually when you put it all together, you're actually looking through that. When I look at the size of my finger, you can see it's not a very big hole at all. So yeah, not too much need to make too much fuss about this area. So now I actually will get it glued together, so I'll see you in a minute. So look at these headlights. Now we get some clear lenses, and we get these headlights in the kit, as you can see here. So we put the headlights on. But if you paint the inside of these headlight lenses silver, yeah, great. You put the clear part on the front, and it looks like you've got a silver cereal bowl with nothing in it. So I'm going to make some light bulbs. So all we do is we take our cigarette lighter and heat the sprue till it bends. See what that's dying. Give it a pull. Now I don't want to make this too fine, so I'm just going to pull it like that. So it's about, I don't know, it's probably about 30 thou, 3/4 of a millimetre in diameter. Okay, and that's done. So now I'm going to snip this in half. Then this often takes a few attempts, so it might not work first time, but I'll make sure the edit looks like it does. So this is difficult to see with these white instructions in the background for you, isn't it? Maybe this is better. So I'm going to take my cigarette lighter and just hold the sprue close to the flame, and you will see that it will start to melt and form a ball, and then take it away. There we go, it did work first time. And there is one light bulb. And I'll do the same on this side. Just want to just start to make a ball. Come on. There we go. And then we have a look and make sure they're about the same size. I can see this one's a bit smaller, so I'm just going to do a bit more on it. That's a bit better. You can see there, we'll look at these end on, and they look like little light bulbs. So now what I'm going to do is measure this shaft. Measure the diameter of the shaft, the lock's on, and we can see that it's 0.5. That one's 0.65. So if I get a drill, which is, let's find a smaller little chuck. What's this one in here? 0.55, that'll do us nicely. So take the headlights, they're still on the sprue, it makes them easier to handle. And then I'm just going to go into the middle like this and just drill it through. Out the other side. And the same on this one. Now one of these may need slightly opening up, I think. And then what we do, we cut this off the sprue, or not the sprue, cut it off, well I guess it is the sprue, isn't it? Cut it off like this. Then I'm going to take this one because it's the smallest one and push it in through that hole, pull it out the back, and there you can see we have a headlight bulb. Now once that is, it needs to be opened out a bit so I can pull it back a bit further. I'm not sure what this one is like. Yeah, that one doesn't want to go in. Yes, it does. Yeah, they need to be drilled out a bit. So yeah, you can see there the effect on the left hand side one. We've got a headlight bulb in there. I'll paint this silver, and then what we do is put these, in fact what I'll do is I'll stop this and I'll show you the finished item. And there we go. There's the finished item. You can see the bulbs inside there. And what you need to do now is once the glue has gone off, just trim the backs down, put some silver paint on there, and then sand them down, put some silver paint on, and then paint them in the final colour. Unfortunately these lenses are very, very thick, and when I've glued them it's actually affected the polished aluminium paint, but I think they'll be okay. I mean, look at them there. I mean, you look at them this far away, they're absolutely fine. So yeah, the trouble is they're about 5.5mm in diameter, and I don't think little cars do the lenses that big, but you get the idea. Right, where have I been then? It's been it's been a good week, 10 days since I picked this one up, but we're nearly there now. Okay, where do we start? Tip for beginners, starters. When you get little bits like this, like these handles, see what I've done? Rather than take them off the sprue and try and fit them, cut the whole sprue off like I've done here, leave them attached to it, and then it gives you, then you can clean the inside of the part, remove the seam and everything, and then once the glue's dry and everything and it's on there, you can come along with your sprue nippers and just take the sprue off. And then you've got this big part to hold to clean up the contact point, rather than, or the sprue gate should I say, rather than try and do it in a pair of tweezers and have it flying across the room. So there's a little tip for our new starters. Here's the other one here. I'll just nip this off so it doesn't get broken, and there we go. Remember to clean those up after. Right, so if you look back at my review of this kit, I did film this and realised when I did it I was actually on the camera rather than the video recorder. So yeah, if you look in the instructions here and you look back at my earlier video, you will see that these parts, these spare wheels that go on the roof, are configured like this with solid lumps of plastic as straps. You can see it again here. Whereas if you look at the real thing, like on here, it's actually straps going over the top. So I thought, with such a beautiful, dainty, fine little kit, it's got to be worth the trouble. So what I've done is remove those lumps of plastic, and this is the inside, this is the outside, and basically done my best job I can of cleaning up and representing the spokes. And then what I'll do is use some Tamiya tape or some photo etch or something and put over the top to form the straps that hold them down. And I think that'll look a lot neater than having those there. I think I may also remove these pins because I don't think the spokes would have been perfectly aligned like that. I think they would have been sort of randomly just put together. You've seen the seat. I've done the inside of the roof in this desert yellow colour and sort of stippled it on to give it a kind of rough finish. Which reminds me, this part here, number 17, according to the instructions, it's not unused, but I can't see anywhere in the instructions where it's actually fitted. And it doesn't go in there because it's too wide, as you can see. I imagine it's some sort of frame, but I can't see anywhere in the instructions where it's fitted. So if you know, maybe this is for another version, it's not used on this one, but if you know what this is for, could you please let me know in the comments. It's number 17. It's sprue B17, this part is. So I know there's a few variants of Model Ts. Maybe this isn't used, and they just forgot to. It's here, look, on the instructions, it's there. And they haven't actually coloured it over in red, which they have with the other parts that aren't used. The rear canopy, or the rear canvas that drops down, is moulded as one thick flat lump. So what I decided to do, where's my little pointer? What I decided to do was actually thin it out and put the shape into it, so the shape on the back matches the shape on the front, so it actually looks like it is just hanging on those straps rather than a plastic lump. So that's ready to go on. We've got our wheels here. I'd forgotten to do those, they need to be done with wood effect. Wheel arches are taken off, need to do some cleanup on them. Make the stretchers. Each one of those consists of 7 parts. So you've got the 4 feet, then you've got the 2 sort of supports going across the side, and then you've got the actual stretcher itself. I don't know if I'll put these in. We'll have to wait and see. There's the wheels. Oh, another funny little thing. I'll show you this in the instructions. Where is it now? You make up this fuel tank here. This little fuel tank, which is here, a little fuel can, I'm guessing. Fuel tank, fuel can, whatever. Let me get the light better for you, it's ridiculous. So yeah, you've got this fuel can thing. Now, in the instructions, if you look here, you can see there's nothing there. And then when you get to here, there's this piece jutting out from the side of the floor. And then down here, they're showing you that's what the fuel can mounts on. I'm not going to put that on because the box front doesn't have it. So I'm not going to add it purely because it's, you know, it should be there. The other thing is this CAD drawing shows this wooden box as being faired in here up with the steel wheel arch extension part there, whereas when you look at the actual kit itself, it doesn't do that. It's just just goes straight up. So not quite sure what to do there. I'll have to have a look at the real photographs again. I might have to make something up which would be more wood graining. I don't know why I bother, because I'm going to paint all this grey and then scratch some of the grey off. So it's just really a tutorial to show you guys how it's done. Oh, we also need to add some dirt to the floor. This is only placed on temporarily so I could line the steering column, which keeps for some reason the steering column keeps wanting to move out of line. I don't know why. It has no reason to go that way, but it seems to want to go, the steering wheel seems to want to go that way to the right. So you can see here you've got this joint, focus, you've got this joint on the steering column here where it joins the steering box. So yeah, it needs to be in the right position. I want to paint all that as one, so I'm not adding the steering column in after. We've got the little pedals and everything in there, and the handbrake. I know that handbrake looks like it's the wrong way around. It's not. I checked my references. The lever is on the back. So So yeah, there we go. Nothing much more to show you really. I need to do some cleanup, do some more woodwork, and then we're on to paint. Of course, you've seen how I did these headlights, and they're drying. There's also this part here, this bracket, part 51. Not sure what that's for, but it's certainly not shown in the instructions. And I've got to fit these little gas lamps as well, and they've got some clear lenses to go on them. They're nicely made, moulded in 2 pieces. You've got to put them together. So I think we'll call that a day there. That's part 2 done and dusted. And then when we come to part 3, it'll just be finishing off, painting, a little bit of weathering, and then it'll be final reveal time. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this build. It is a lovely, lovely little kit. As I say, the only thing I've had to modify on the whole build is this spare wheel mount, which I really think is worth doing. I mean, if you've got the ability to take resin moulds, you might want to just mould a wheel, and then you wouldn't have to bother with that carving about then. But it seems to have this central post that goes on as well. You can see I've added it there. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see, please subscribe, tell your friends and share and everything. And I'll see you, I don't know when, soon, with this thing finished. Bye.